You know what's kind of insane? The sword, the ultimate ancient weapon, the thing every action movie hands its hero, is actually one of the last major weapons humans figured out how to build. Spears? Ancient. Axes? Ancient. Bows and arrows? Ancient. The sword showed up embarrassingly late, and there's a reason for that. A really simple, really annoying reason. So let's talk about why it took us so long to invent a pointy metal stick. Here's the thing people don't realize. A sword only has one job. Think about it. A spear can hunt dinner, an axe can chop wood, build a house, and also cave someone's skull in if it comes to that. Bows can take down a deer from 50 yards away. But a sword? A sword does exactly one thing. It's not a tool that occasionally gets used as a weapon. It's a weapon that was purpose-built from day one to end a human life. That's it. That's the whole resume. So why didn't we invent this thing sooner? Simple. We physically couldn't. For most of human history, our best cutting tool was stone. Flint, obsidian, whatever sharp rock you could find and chip into shape. And stone is genuinely amazing at short, sharp edges. Arrowheads, little hand blades, that kind of thing. But try to make it long. Try to chip out a thin 2-foot blade out of solid rock. It won't work. It just snaps. Imagine trying to make a whip out of a breadstick. That's basically what you're up against. Stone is strong, but it's brittle, and a sword needs length and flexibility at the same time. So for hundreds of thousands of years, the sword simply could not exist. Not because nobody thought of it, because the material didn't allow it. That changes with metal. Copper shows up a few thousand years before the Bronze Age really kicks off, and for the first time, humans have a material that can actually hold a long shape without shattering. Problem solved, right? Not quite. Copper on its own is soft, like disappointingly soft. You could make a long blade out of pure copper, sure, and then watch it bend like a spoon the second it hits something solid. So now we've got the shape of a sword and none of the substance. Close, but not there yet. And this is where it gets interesting. Someone, we don't know exactly who or exactly where, figured out that if you mix copper with a little bit of arsenic, you get a metal that's harder, tougher, and way more workable. Arsenical bronze. And that one discovery is the missing piece. That's the ingredient that finally makes a real, functional, long metal blade physically possible for the first time in human history. And here's where the story gets a name and a date attached to it. In the 1980s, a team led by archaeologist Marcella Frangipani from Sapienza University of Rome was digging at a site called Arslantepe in modern-day Turkey, and they pulled 9 weapons out of the ground. 3 short swords, 6 long daggers, somewhere between 45 and 60 centimeters long, made of arsenical bronze, some of them inlaid with silver, dated to around 3300 to 3000 BC.
Now, here's the part that should make your jaw drop a little. Before this discovery, historians were pretty confident that actual swords didn't exist until around 1500 BC. Arslantepe blew that timeline apart. It pushed the invention of the sword back over 1,000 years. One dig, one team, and suddenly the entire history books needed a rewrite. But, and archaeologists still argue about this one, so buckle up, not everyone agrees these count as real swords, because where exactly is the line between a really long dagger and a genuine sword? There's no universal rulebook. Length, balance, intended use, it's all a bit fuzzy. So even today, historians debate whether Arslantepe gets the crown for world's first sword outright, or whether it's just the earliest ancestor of one. Either way, it's the oldest thing on Earth that looks, unmistakably, like the sword you're picturing in your head right now. Here's a twist, though. You'd think a brand new killing machine would go straight to the army, right? Nope. Bronze was expensive, rare, hard to produce, so early swords weren't handed out to soldiers. They were symbols of power, buried with rulers, shown off by elites. The actual guy on the battlefield, he was still holding a spear, because spears were cheap, simple, and effective enough that basically any farmer could be handed one and sent to fight. The sword, we imagine as the ultimate warrior's weapon, actually started its life as ancient bling for royalty. From there, the upgrades keep coming. Arsenical bronze gets replaced by tin bronze. Stronger, but with a catch. Tin was rare, and civilizations had to trade for it across ridiculously long distances just to keep making better weapons. Eventually, centuries later, iron enters the picture, and blacksmiths figure out how to work a metal that's tougher than bronze ever was. By the time you get to famous history, Tutankhamun, buried in 1327 BC with his own curved ceremonial blade, swords were already old news. Ancient Egypt Egypt's most famous pharaoh lived closer to the modern era than he did to the very first swords ever forged. So, next time you picture a sword, Excalibur, a samurai blade, a Roman gladius, whatever, remember it all traces back to a handful of bronze weapons some rulers wanted buried with them 5,000 years ago. It took stone tools failing, copper bending, and one lucky metallurgical accident with arsenic before humans could finally build a weapon with exactly one purpose. And once we figured it out, we never really stopped making them better.